Welcome in, everyone. I'm Peter Ryman, and this is another episode of the Student of the Week. This week, we are taking a look at David. I am super proud of David. He was able to overcome a dreaded case of the Shanks during the course of our hour-long session. And it hurts to say that word, even, Shank. It's definitely much like a curse word in our golf world. We tend to avoid it like the plague until we get it, and then we can't stop thinking about it, and you end up coming to see someone like myself or another PGA professional, and we square you away, hopefully. But scary stuff. What is it? Let's define it. Let's start with that. But it's an instance where the hosel of the golf club meets the ball rather than the club face, right? So essentially, the club face is further away from you than it was at the start of your swing, thus presenting hosel. Ball goes dead right and low. There are two main causes that I tend to see which would cause a shank, and they are a club path, which is too skewed in one direction. Maybe it's too far out towards right field or too far out towards left field, just too much across the ball in one direction. And it's also the weight in the body gets too much into the toes moving into contact. You can see how posture might be affected when we get too much in our toes. People tend to stand up a little bit more. You also can really see it in the knees sometimes. The knee, particularly the trail knee, the right knee, will work too much towards the golf ball. And also, just another thing, when you get too much in your toes, you're probably going to lose your balance as well, and it makes it very hard to rotate effectively through the shot. But in David's case, really, we're going to take a look here. So as he gets to the top of his swing, he's in a very nice position, both in the before and the after. The before is on the left, after is on the right. What we're really going to look at here as he transitions and works his way down into the strike, I'm going to draw a line here on the ground from his toe up in both. I just want you to take a peek here as he gets into the kind of the critical area here where the club starts to get close to belt knee height, moving towards the strike. I want you to take a look at his right knee. Okay? So, do you see how in the right image, in the left image in the before, how his right knee works past his toe line quite a bit, and essentially, in other words, it works towards the ball. And in the right image, you see that his right knee stays off that line, and it works a little bit more successfully directly towards his left knee. Okay? Whenever your right knee works too much towards the ball, your weight's going to get into that right toe. The club head and the hands tend to follow, and we start to see a little bit of a casting motion is very common. Okay? So, in David's case, that casting motion then was making his club work too much outside the line of the ball, and I'm going to freeze it right here. So this is a very telling image. I will highlight it. We will zoom in on it. You can really see it. But because he was too much in that right toe early, he was throwing the club head out away from the ball across the line, and you can see in that left image how the hosel of the club is now being presented to the ball. Right, so the swing is a circle. The club the club head is meant to move behind you in backswing, downswing. It only gets back out to the ball at the moment of impact, and then once again, it works behind the line of the ball as well. Okay, and you can see very clearly here how, according to the line of the ball, his club head started to work beyond that line, and now he's forced to essentially squeeze and drag that club head back across that line into the strike in order to create contact. And so as you get into the strike, you're really going to see now the difference, between a heel borderline hosel strike on the left and then a center of face strike on the right. Okay. So stay out of the right toes in transition. It is always a good move to try and feel like your knees are working to get closer together into your finish. And you want to feel that immediately. So there's a great drill he was doing, and you can note the club on the ground there on the right image. Again, we'll draw a little highlight around that. But if you take your right heel and you step on the club face, And then in transition, try and keep pressure on that club face. So try and keep your right heel with some pressure on that club face as you transition from backswing to downswing. That's really going to help you work a little bit more successfully laterally towards your left side rather than spinning out and working your knee and your weight into the right toe and towards the ball and thus presenting hosel early. Okay, so it worked really well for David. He was absolutely striping the ball by the end of our lesson. I mean, and he's got a great golf swing. It really is a game of very small margins. If you get a half-inch off with where your club head is, you can quickly move into the shank realm. So we really just had to adjust him a half-inch back, and boom, his beautiful golf swing was producing beautiful results again. So hope this makes sense, y'all. If you do have a case of the shanks, these are good factors to look at. Think about where your path is going and think about what exactly your weight is doing in your lower body. Make sure you're staying out of your toes. And if that doesn't work, then you need to come see myself and we need to set you up with some drills so we can really get you back on the right track. But that is it. Congrats to David. Great work, buddy. And signing out. Hope to see you all on the lesson tee soon. Take care.